Joseph in Potiphar's house, a drama of integrity and faith. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. Genesis 39, verse 2. Joseph had been sold as a slave, far from his homeland, far from his family, but not far from God. Though he wore chains, his faith was unchained. Potiphar, an Egyptian officer of Pharaoh, purchased Joseph. But instead of being bitter, Joseph worked with excellence. Everything he touched flourished. Even in slavery, God's presence can make you prosperous. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and Joseph found grace in his sight, and he made him overseer over his house. Genesis 39, verses 3-4. Potiphar saw something divine in Joseph. He wasn't just a servant. He was a vessel of blessing. The house of Potiphar was transformed. Joseph, the Hebrew, was now in charge of everything, from fields to finances. Excellence opens doors, but character keeps them open. The Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had. Genesis 39, verse 5. One man's faith brought favor upon a household that didn't even know God. Potiphar realized it, that he was blessed because Joseph walked with God. Righteousness blesses more than just the righteous, it overflows. And Joseph was a goodly person and well-favored. Genesis 39, verse 6. Young, handsome, favored, but behind every blessing there's a battle. Potiphar's wife, impressed by his appearance and power, set her eyes upon Joseph. This wasn't love, it was lust clothed in entitlement. Lesson: temptation doesn't always come with horns, sometimes it smiles. And she said, "Lie with me." Genesis 39, verse 7. She was bold, repeated, persistent, but he refused. Genesis 39, verse 8. Joseph could have had momentary pleasure, but he chose eternal favor. He saw beyond the bed, to the betrayal, the wickedness, and the sin against God. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Genesis 39, verse 9. Lesson: when you fear God, your no is louder than their yes. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, he hearkened not unto her. Genesis 39, verse 10. Every day the temptation came back. Every day he stood his ground. This was not just about flesh, it was about faith. Lesson: purity is not proven in moments, but in daily decisions. There was none of the men of the house there within. Genesis 39:11. She planned it. She cornered him. She caught him by his garment, and he left his garment in her hand, and fled. Genesis 39:12. He ran, not out of weakness, but because he knew some battles are won by fleeing, not fighting. Lesson: escape is sometimes more heroic than endurance. He hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. Genesis 39:14. When lust is rejected, it turns to wrath. She twisted the truth. She used his garment as evidence. He left his garment with me and fled out. Genesis 39:15. She framed him. She sinned, but he would suffer. Lesson: sometimes doing the right thing brings wrong results, temporarily. And Joseph's master, his wrath was kindled. Genesis 39:19. Potiphar believed the lie, or maybe he feared the scandal. Joseph was thrown into prison, from the palace of favor to the pit of accusation. Lesson: when man's justice fails, God's justice begins. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, and he was there in the prison. Genesis 39, verse 20. No trial, no voice, just betrayal and bars. But someone was with him. But the Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39, verse 21. Even in prison, God's presence did not leave. Lesson: they can take your freedom but not your favor. The keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners. Genesis 39, verse 22. Even in chains, Joseph was chosen. His gift of leadership was not circumstantial, it was spiritual. Because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. Genesis 39, verse 23. Lesson: God doesn't need perfect places to bless his children. Joseph had every reason to be bitter. He was betrayed, lied about, punished for purity, but instead he trusted. Not because things looked good, but because God was good. He chose prison over pleasure, eternity over ego. Lesson: when children are taught the fear of the Lord, they will not depart, even when the world pulls hard. Joseph didn't know that prison would be his path to Pharaoh. Pain would prepare him for power. God uses pits to build platforms. This chapter ends in prison, but not the story. Lesson: don't give up just because doing right doesn't seem to pay. It will, even if it costs your life. Eternity is the reward. Joseph's life teaches faith can prosper anywhere. Lust destroys even in luxury. Fear of God is stronger than temptation. Even betrayal is a step toward destiny. Doing right can hurt, but it saves your soul. In a world of compromise, will you run when others lie? Will you choose prison over a poisoned palace? Will you fear God when no one is watching? Because the Lord is with the righteous, and He rewards faithfulness. Choose integrity, choose faith, choose Joseph's path. Watch out, coming next in part 3. From prison to palace, the rise of Joseph. Will the man falsely accused remain forgotten behind bars? Or will the very gift that got him hated be the one that lifts him into royalty? Dreams are stirring, destiny is approaching, betrayal still echoes, but breakthrough is on the horizon. Part 3 is the twist you've been waiting for. When man forgets, God remembers. Don't miss it. Leave a comment. What part of Joseph's faith moved you the most? Like if you believe God sees you in the pit. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Part 3 will shake your soul.